I'm Cynthia Bellinger. I am the host
We
for.
gotta do it again.
What's wrong?
Keith said his apologies.
Okay.
We're ready now.
All right, no problem.
And five, four, three.
Hello. Welcome to the Total Faith Show. I am Cynthia Bellinger, your host. Today, we have a awesome guest with us. And I say awesome because he was with us once before. But today we are wanted to bring another side, another take, another look at this gentleman, Lowe Moore, who today is the executive director of Boys and Girls Club in Mount Vernon, New York. But today, with that stated, I want you to be encouraged that the Total Faith Network, with our expansion, and now we're going into so many territories. Thank you to our new distributor. We thank you for Simply Me, Crystal Cameron. We love you. We thank you for Dish TV. We just thank you for White Plains Access. We thank everyone that has a hand in helping Total Faith Network to expand. All of the producers, directors, we thank you. I thank you. And now with that said, I want to move further on with this telecast, this broadcast, this cable cast. And today we have Lowe Moore. Thank you for coming back.
Oh, you're welcome, Cynthia.
And I want to talk so much. And when I asked you to come back, I said, Lowe, let's do this. I want the people to feel the sustenance of transitioning and how life is after the NBA. We didn't really talk about your career. We didn't really talk about your area of when you were a professional basketball player with the National Basketball Association, right? NBA.
Right.
So today I want you to just, first of all, you were with the New Jersey Nets, you were with the Cleveland Cavaliers, and also with at the time, you said they would call this
San Diego Clippers.
The San Diego Clippers, but today they're called the
LA Clippers.
LA Clippers. I want to talk, and I want you to just talk about your life in the NBA. Like, how was it? Because there was a lifestyle attached to that, right?
Definitely. First of all, it was exciting. I mean, to be drafted in the NBA. It was kind of a lifetime dream of mine.
Wow.
Seeing all the individuals that I grew up on, like the Earl of Pearl Monroes, the Walt Fraziers, the Willis Reed, the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and then the Dr. J and the David Thompson, and then next thing you know, you're no longer seeing them on a television, but you're actually on the same floor. And for a little kid coming out of the projects, that was like, wow. I was able to do it. I was able to accomplish it. And then to think back to about how many people, all the people that helped you to accomplish these things, and then being there, man, it was just an amazing feeling. And then to see, not only my mom was excited, my mentor was excited, my brothers and sisters, my family was excited, and then just to get on the floor, some places used to hear about, like the Boston Garden or Madison Square Garden or the Forum in LA at the time. And just to be able to play, to actually play in those arenas and play against so many great players, I mean, it was just an exciting time, for me, and a dream come true.
Wow. I was still feeling your passion. Like playing basketball was a passion of yours in that season, in that time.
Wow. I mean, it actually started, like every little kid, you grow up wanting to play baseball. You see football. Back in the time, the Giants, the Jets won the championship back in a Super Bowl, and you wanted to be a football player. And then, for me, I got excited about basketball because it was a sport you could do all year round. It wasn't seasonal like football and baseball. And then I remember I think it was one of my aunts gave me an opportunity to go see the Harlem Globetrotters.
I remember them.
You know, and watching them on television and watching, you know, Curly Neal and Lock Lemon and watching them do tricks with the ball. And, you know, because one day in my mind I thought I was going to be the next Curly Neal. I was going to be the next dribbler. And, you know, then the whole NBA scene and seeing so many great players play. And then now to be known as one of them. And then you start to think about all the times you spend in your room. You know, I was in my room. There was 4 of us in the room, my sister and my two brothers in the projects. And, you know, I remember taking, you know, a hanger, started off with a hanger, found a net and shooting a tennis ball, you know, off the bunk beds and being, you know, Earl of Pearl and being Willis Reed and playing all these, acting out all these characters that I thought I was going to be like one day. And then to go from there and then put up a Hot Wheel track. I don't know if you remember those.
I remember
the little Hot Wheel tracks. Take a Hot Wheel, stick them together, tape them on the wall, put a net on it, and then you shooting with the ball. And just wanted to play ball. I mean, my mom, growing up in a single-parent home, and then my mom was always at work, particularly during the summertime. So I was the oldest, so I was responsible for my brothers and sisters, and getting in that room and just playing against, you know, trying to play against them and dominating them. And when they weren't there, by myself, just imagining.
But your imagination
Yeah.
took you to a reality, and that reality was that you became an NBA player. Now, what was that lifestyle like once you became an NBA player? Not just playing ball, but the lifestyle. You're married, children, family. You know, what was that? I mean,
Well,
temptations.
That was pre, pre-marriage and children, and you know, I think it's kind of a transition. You know, I transitioned from, you have to be a very good high school player, so I started to feel, you know, my high school 9th grade year. I had been playing in the Boys and Girls Club before then, but when I got to high school, not knowing whether I was going to actually make it on the high school team, and then making it on the high school team, and I was kind of a shy person. So then, you know, it was the high school temptation. You know, girls who really didn't, you know, see you in that kind of light. You know, once I made the basketball team, and you know, and then it was cheerleaders, and this one was saying hello, and I kind of managed getting through that because I had family and friends and had places like the Boys Club that I could go to and kind of get away from those things. But it kind of laid my foundation. And then going to college,
Yes.
and you never really know how good you're going to do in terms of transition. A lot of people don't transition. You know, a lot of people get caught up, like going to college, get caught up. Now you're alone. You don't have, that support systems in place, you know, family and friends. And now you're in college, you know, with the West Virginia University, and you're alone. And I started to see, even on my recruiting visit, you know, I started to see, you know, this life, you know, when I got there in my visit, you know, somebody introduced me to a young lady, and then it was a party, and then guys were doing all kind of crazy things. And then you have choices to make, you know, and you know, then, you know, not being naive, you know, all my heroes, and some of my heroes, you know, fell by the wayside. Some got in trouble, and, you know, different things like that. So you kind of aware.
But you stayed focused.
Possibility. Oh,
right?
yeah.
You stayed
Yeah,
focused
yeah.
because you had a dream. You had a goal. See, that's key, you know, that when we are doing what we do, that we stay focused. And that's what you did. Right? I mean, you might have had, well, you want to tell us.
You know, I was
Tell
focused.
us.
I was very focused. I mean, even, you know, not at the time, you know, not that many, you know, black athletes or African-American athletes. It's always projected, if you're going to college, you have to be an athlete.
Yeah.
You know, my first week, you know, in the dorms, you know, a couple of young ladies come up to me and they asked me, what sport you play? You play football, you play basketball? And I kind of told a little fib, and I was like, no, I don't do anything. I'm just going to school here, you know. And as season that unveiled itself,
Right.
they see me on the court.
Right.
Oh, they say you lied to me. I said, well, if that's what you were looking from me, just you were looking for a jog.
Right.
Because
Right.
most athletes, particularly black athletes, you call them dumb jock. You only got here because you can play basketball.
But listen, you played for some of the great, teams. I mean, the New Jersey, Nets
Mhm.
and the Cavaliers and the Clippers. I mean, that must have been exciting. And then, after all of that, it must have been like the lifestyle, everything just stopped, right? The money. I mean, well, maybe that might be too broad, but I'm saying things started to change, right, for you?
Yeah, I mean,
Because you got a nice run. You had a nice run, right?
when you're playing, when you're in your dream,
Okay, talk about that.
and you have resources, you have a car.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, I'm a professing Christian guy, but this other lifestyle, is out there.
Right.
I get to a hotel and I have 10 phone calls,
Mm.
from young ladies that I don't know, wanting to see me after the game, and sometimes you don't entertain those things, but at the time I had a roommate, and we would get in the room, and girls would be downstairs, and then we'd tell them what room we're in, and we'd be across the hall. You tell them the number across the hall, and then you look out the peephole to see how they look. So it's things like that. But you kind of most of us want to stay in the league. So
Yeah, so
that's where the focus comes in.
Yeah.
And then we had heard the stories, whether it be college or professional,
Mm-hmm.
where, entrapment, girls,
Yeah.
getting pregnant, and,
Yeah.
and then, next thing you know, you're responsible for a child. So
Yeah.
all those things come up. And then my first, after making a team experience was DEA, came in. NBA has their own security.
Oh, okay.
And they come in and they do this session on, a guy was kind of arrogant, and he was like, well, we all trying to make a name. You trying to make a name. We trying to make a name. We'd love to catch, a professional athlete doing something they're not supposed to do.
Wow.
And they talked about all the stories, whether it be NFL, Major League Baseball, or NBA, of the players that they caught. Whether it be drugs or alcohol or violence or domestic violence or whatever it is that they've caught. And, it was kind of a warning, beware, we're out there.
Right, and we're watching.
Right, yeah, so that was another wake-up call. And then, there's always initiations. There's always, we always see the initiations, like you got to sing in front of all your teammates, and you got to do something stupid in front of your teammates.
Right.
But, maybe some of the other negative things that may happen with women,
Sure.
that as a part of your initiation. So a lot of times you don't see that, but as a young man, I'm 20 years old, 21 years old, and I can be, influenced,
Right.
by that whole scene. And then, after every game, somebody's always having a party.
The paparazzis and all of that.
there's always a party, there's always somebody waiting after the game. But yet, my whole thing was, I just wanted to play basketball, and also I knew that I was there, number one, whether high school, college, or professional, always had on my mind. I didn't want to embarrass, number one, I didn't want to embarrass my mother. That was number one. Number two, I didn't want to be an embarrassment to my family. And number three, I didn't want to be an embarrassment to my community.
Well, see, this is where we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we want to talk about how that transition from after the NBA to what you're doing now, because there was a shift that took place, because you're still about the community, you're still about family, and you're more in tune and certainly still wanting to empower men. So we're going to talk about that when we come back. We'll be right back. This is Cynthia Bellinger, your host, Total Faith Show. Don't go away. We're back with Lowe's Moore, former NBA player, New Jersey Nets, that is, the Cavaliers and the LA Clippers. So now, because of what you just said about the transition and how you didn't want to embarrass your mom, your family, your community, now the NBA, you retire. You hang up your jerseys, right?
Yes.
So now that you hang up your jerseys, what do? What happens to the lifestyle? What happens to this ball player, Lowe's Moore?
I tell you, I played a little NBA, and then I played 8 years professionally, and I played also in the CBA, which is a semi-pro league, and in Albany Patroons. So it was helping me to kind of really not. I thought I was going to get back to the NBA, and so I was in the CBA, and I was trying to play my way back to the NBA, but in somewhere in the midst there between the LA Clippers, my experience with the LA Clippers, I get married, and that's in 1983. I get married, and then, I ended up, having my first, I'm thinking I'm retired from basketball. So I'm back in Mount Vernon, and I'm working for the recreation department as the athletic director for the city of Mount Vernon. And I remember the superintendent of the school before I left, he said, whenever you finish your career and stuff like that, you ought to come back and, work for the district. And so when I finished in 83, when I finished, I came back and I spoke to the superintendent of the school, and the first thing he said to me was, when I asked him, I said, look, I'm back, I want to get involved in the community, hopefully in the school district. And he asked me if I had my degree. And I was several hours away from there. So he said, well, I can't really do anything for you, although he offered me, when I came back, that I would have, I could get involved with the school district. So now, it made me think.
Wow, that's right.
That, okay, I'm not going to get this, this job or this career in the school district. So I had to, contact West Virginia and try to figure out how far away I was from graduating.
Right.
And, I went through a whole process of trying. I knew I had to get my degree, African-American male, no degree. And I've seen a lot of my friends that are, working. There's nothing wrong with, working for DPW or working as a maintenance person. They're all good jobs, or working as a mailman. Those are great jobs, and people have great lives and careers doing those things. That was not my expectation.
Right.
That I was going to go back and do those things. So
you went back
after
to
working
school?
out, no, I end up, the nice thing was when I was in school, you have what you call is your core. And then you have your major,
right,
and then your electives.
Right.
So I had completed, by the time I left for the draft, I had completed my core and my major.
Okay.
So all I needed was
electives, which is great.
Right. So I started to intern. They allowed me to do internships. I got a job as the athletic director for the city of Mount Vernon, and I went to Elizabeth Seton College where I interned.
Good.
And I wrote a few papers, and within about a year I ended up getting my degree.
Good.
So
isn't it? Look at the validity of that. Some young person may be watching right now and thinking, I want to be an NBA player and so forth and so on. But it's important to finish.
Oh yeah.
It's important to finish what you start. I mean, you did.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But. It's so important. So now you're director over here at the Boys and Girls Club. And now, again, you're affecting not only your family, right, your community, but now you have this program about men in charge.
Right.
Because you have something that you want men to capture, to embrace. Because it's important, right? Because the men are usually the leaders in the homes. But there's a breakdown in the home because of a lot of trouble in the family. Right?
Oh,
I mean,
definitely.
we still have a few more minutes. Let's talk about that, because you go from this lifestyle of NBA, you did that professional, career, thing. It was a lifestyle, the temptations and all of that came with that. But your dream did come true. So it wasn't far-fetched for you, but that doesn't mean every young man or every young woman that dreams to be a ball player, baseball player, gymnast or whatever, that doesn't mean that they will become that. But it's not that you should not dream for
Right.
for the limit, or for the sky's the limit. You should dream.
Right.
Because your dreams can come true like yours did. But in the interim, right?
Yeah.
You-
Well,
well,
I think
what?
you.
Talk
I think
to the-
ultimately,
Talk to us.
dream. There's a dream, and then there's a dream. I mean, I accomplished one dream, but I felt to keep dreaming. So
That's
you
key.
dream about maybe playing ball, but okay, now what happens after ball?
After ball.
And so that was a thing that was was shocking to me. Was like, now this is over.
Now
What are you gonna do?
Good question.
Because at one time when it was over and I decided I had retired, before I came back to Mount Vernon, I was unemployed, and I was looking at what I could do. I was working as a monitor in a high school in Albany. I was trying to work with this recreation center. I was trying to find what I was going to do next, because we don't have any preparation for what happens next.
And that's why you have this
know.
organization,
Oh,
Men
yeah.
in Charge. Talk about that.
Well, I think one of the things, when I started hoop school in Albany, it was to help young men. I had a few individuals to help me, go through my transitions, and a lot of young men don't have a lot of people to help them. So we felt like with the hoop school, if we start this program, we could use basketball as a tool.
Very good.
Get them in and show them about life skills and to develop life plans. So now it's the same thing with what you see today. Most of the kids since '93, I've been the executive director. Most of the people that call me are women, single parent mothers who have sons.
Yes.
And or daughters, but I mean mostly sons.
Yes.
Now they're older now, and they say, I don't know what to do with this kid. And even a lot of your professional athletes or entertainers, whether a father through death or absentee fathers, are not available
Yes,
in
yes.
in their lives. So you have to be able to have somebody who could be a mentor or a coach
That's good.
and help you develop what I consider life plans.
And that's where the Men in Charge comes in at. We're going to take one more break, and when we come back, I want you to just talk about how someone can get in touch with you, and also the fact that this Men in Charge is something that's a passion now, another dream.
Yeah, another dream.
We'll be right back. Don't go away. Don't tune away. We'll be right back with Lowe's More. I'm Cynthia Bellinger, your host. This is good. My son is going to be... I'm happy. Oh, we're back. Wait a minute. We're back. Listen. Talk about this Men in Charge, this new dream now that developed because of your previous dream, your passion, and now it's still relevant because it's affecting men and young boys.
Well, I think I'm passionate about it because, my father wasn't in my life. So I came up in a single parent home. And then, a guy, Mr. Jones, came and mentored me. So now I figure like if there's young men who are out there now that seeking direction, that's what Men in Charge does. It's not a dream. It's a practical application. It's like, what do I do from A to Z? How do I develop that life plan that may be addressing my dream? If I fall short of my dream, what do I do? If I accomplish my dream, when it's over, what do I do?
Right.
So it's continuous process, planning, developing,
That's
of an
excellent.
individual. And then also, Men in Charge is about to help men, according to God's perspective, what was my purpose? Most of the time, historically we had a role. We were the providers, for our family, and we showed leadership. And then now you see with most women probably make more money than men do, right? They don't need men necessarily to provide financially for them, so there's so it's no longer a role but a
Right.
purpose. What was God's
good.
original intent? What was God's original purpose
That's
for
good.
man? So, and many of us don't know that. So when one gentleman asked me a few years ago, who taught you to be a man? So I had to start thinking, did my father, was it a mentor? Is it my culture? You know, who's helping me to become this man?
Would you kind of align men in charge with maybe a coaching type of premise or concept, or more of a mentorship?
I would say coaching, because coaching is different than if I was a therapist. A therapist would say, well, based on experience, you can do these things.
Okay.
Coaching is, it's in you already,
You go.
right? I have to help you draw that out.
Yes, yes.
You know, so that it's not me telling you what to do, but it's you doing, what's already in you.
This is excellent. You got to tell us how to talk in the camera. Let them know how to get in touch with you, Lowe's. Give them your website or your contact information. Whatever it is, email.
Well, I'll give you Lowe's More. My number is 914-774-6659. My email is LLM2IJN@AOL.com.
Perfect. This is great. I'm so glad that you was able to come back on. So glad, because now people are going to have a better sense of how, it began with you, with your dream as a ball player, and to that dream to come to pass, and then how you transitioned into this new dream, which actually became your vocation after the MBA,
Right.
and that is as the executive director of the Boys and Girls Club in Mount Vernon, and how you now got this men in charge coaching concept. This is fantastic. For all those who are watching, I just want to say thank you for tuning in. Thank you, Lowe's, for coming on. And again, I'm Cynthia Bellinger, the host of the Total Faith Show, and I thank you for tuning in. And as I always sign off, we at Total Faith Network, we walk by total faith. So people could get a feel of your past. Bring it on, because